So, I don't know about you, but oh my god, I just punched it. So, I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, you'll want to take advantage of the new features of Minecraft's 1.16 Nether update in order to turn your Nether from this old boring one into this shiny, new, and improved one. However, if you've already been exploring in the Nether on your pre-existing pre-1.16 worlds, if you're hoping to just go into the Nether and immediately find these new features, you're out of luck. These new features will only generate in new chunks, and that could potentially be pretty far away. So, the only way to get these new features across the entirety of your old Nether is to completely reset your Nether. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to do just that, both on your vanilla single-player worlds and on your servers, whether they be vanilla, Spigot, Craftbukkit, or paper. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, let's start by resetting the Nether on a vanilla single-player world. Now, I have a preset world here in version 1.15.2. It's called Nether Reset Video. And if I come down here and hit Edit, I can actually make a backup before resetting the Nether. And to be honest, you should do this before resetting anything about a world, actually. So if we hit Make Backup, you'll see that we get an advancement style notification in the top right corner. It says Backed Up Nether Reset Video. And if we click on the world again, click Edit, there is a button here called Open Backups Folder where you'll be able to find the old 1.15.2 world state. So it is the old backup of your world before resetting the Nether for 1.16. So if anything goes wrong, you can always access the old version of your world. Now I'm actually going to hop in the world to show you the old Nether so that we're on 1.15. But before I do that, I'm going to state two things that you as the player should be cautious of before performing a resetting process. The first thing is that you should be out of the Nether before resetting your Nether. And that is because you don't want to be clipping into new world generation blocks or fallen lava that wasn't there when you were in 1.15 and die, etc. It's just a perilous journey all around if you don't leave the Nether. And on a similar note, you should also make sure that your blocks and items and entities/mobs that belong to you are out of the Nether before you reset it, because after you reset it, everything in your old Nether will be deleted, and you will have to sort of re-import all of your personal belongings into the new 1.16 Nether afterwards. So let's actually enter the Nether, and you can see that we have this old boring terrain. So let's hop over to my file explorer and let's perform the resetting process. And as I said before, let's get out of the Nether before we do the reset so that nothing funky happens. I am now in my world folder, and the process of resetting the Nether is actually really easy. Let's go to these two dim folders here. dim1 stands for the end dimension, and dim-1 stands for the Nether dimension. So, in order to reset the Nether, all we have to do is delete dim-1. Once we go back into our world, I'm just going to hit I know what I'm doing because we already made a backup beforehand. If it ever loads, you can see that we're in the new Nether. And we're currently in a crimson forest, and I'm sure if you fly around, you'll find a plethora of the other biomes. But your single-player world is now 1.16 ready, so get exploring. It's also worth mentioning that the method of Nether Reset that I just used on this vanilla single-player world will also work the exact same way on a vanilla multiplayer server. Just make sure that you download the updated 1.16 server jar from Minecraft's website before actually restarting on 1.16. So now let's talk about resetting the Nether on a Craftbukkit, Spigot, or Paper Spigot server. I have the files of a Spigot server loaded up here. Unfortunately, I'm not using Paper Spigot, which is a little bit more optimized than normal Spigot, because as of the recording of this video, Paper Spigot for 1.16 has not been released yet, although I estimate that it will be pretty soon because they're typically pretty quick on updates. So if we take a look at the folder structure here, you'll notice it's a bit different from the vanilla setup. If we go in the world folder here, there is no dim-1 or dim1 folder representing the Nether and end dimensions respectively, because these dimensions are actually stored in a slightly different fashion in Craftbukkit and Spigot and Paper Spigot. The world Nether folder in here stores all of the region file data and the chunk data, etc., associated with the Nether dimension. So if we delete this folder, you will effectively be doing the same thing as deleting the dim-1 folder in a vanilla setup. However, before you do this, please make sure, as we did with the single player world, to make a backup beforehand. But this is a temporary server for just the sake of this tutorial, so let's go ahead and delete this folder, and we have now deleted all of the information associated with the nether dimension. And now that we're on our 1.16 version of the server with our updated server jar here, we can go ahead and restart the server in order to fill in the missing world_nether folder, which in turn will regenerate the nether for the new 1.16 features. But remember when I said that it was your responsibility to leave the nether dimension before resetting it and take all your stuff with you? Well, the same goes for your players on your server as well. You should instruct them to do the same thing. But sometimes players might have a hard time, or they purposefully might not listen to you because they might want a chance to get those new resources early, etc. There is a way to forcefully move your players out of the nether dimension if they remained there by the time you upgraded. So in order to get them out, let's go into our world folder and then our player data folder. And you'll notice that there's a dat file here with a UUID. This is my UUID because I'm the only one who's been on this server, but if there were more players on your server, you would have a much longer list. In order to open these dat files, you need an NBT editor of some sort. I personally use NBT Explorer just because it's the most well-known of its program type. So let's open up this file in NBT Explorer. And the only two things we're going to focus on here, because there are a lot of entries here, are position and dimension. Let's just do dimension first. You'll notice if we double click this, we're currently in Minecraft the_nether because I didn't listen to myself and I wanted to cheat a little bit. So in order to move myself out of the nether dimension, we have to backspace until we get to the colon and then just type overworld instead. And then let's go up to position here, because if you don't change the position, but you change the dimension, your player will retain the same coordinates, but in the wrong dimension, which could result in sometimes catastrophic things. So make sure, once you see these three positions, to set them typically just to your overworld spawn. If it's at 0, 0, just change 0 for the X, 0 for the Z, and make sure that the Y coordinate is the floor. You don't want players spawning below the floor or above the floor and falling to their deaths. So let's just set it to 70, for example. Say that's your floor. And then all you have to do is hit save up here, and then you can close it. And now your players will spawn in the overworld the next time they join. Now, there are a few other ways of forcefully removing players from the nether dimension, one of which is by using a tag system. I won't go into detail about how to use it in this video. Instead, I will send all of the info down in the description. And that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you learned how to reset the nether in whatever Java environment you may be in. If you like this sort of content, be sure to click on my Minecraft tips and tricks playlist to the right. And as always, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment down below as to what videos you'd like to see me do next, and please hit that subscribe button for future content. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye!